As you can see, today we're going to talk a little bit about bug bounty programs. Do we have any people who ever participated, ever signed up? Ooh, nice. Do we have people who never heard of bug bounty programs? Nice, thank you. Okay, so let's start a little bit of introduction about myself. I've been running bug bounty programs for the past 5 years for multiple companies. And today I'm going to share my experience as a person on the other side who gets all the bounties and run the programs and need to keep everything engaged, get everything running. So today's agenda, we're going to cover the basic, what's a bug bounty program. We're going to give a little bit tips for the people who never signed up. Do we have such people here, like who never onboarded? Nice. We're going to give some tips for the pros, the people who's been submitting bugs for a while and looking for some easy ways to get more ROI on their bugs. And last but not least, some funny stories from, running those programs. So the first thing is, what are bug bounty programs? So bug bounties are a safe place for two types of entities. Companies who's looking to strengthen their security posture, and they're looking to compensate people who are willing to submit bugs. But they're also an ecosystem for people who's looking to submit bugs and to find security issues at companies that are online, they're out there, but they would also like to be compensated for their time or, just donate for society. And pretty much I would say that submitting bugs are turning, cute bugs into money, and it can be a lot of it. Okay, as you can see, you have bug bounty programs who pays up to $3 million. Okay, I think it's a significant amount of money, right? Who wouldn't want to get this amount of money? So, yeah. So, how do I start, right? What's the first thing you should do? If you want to start hunting for bugs, start getting money out of it. The first thing and the nice part about bug bounty programs are you can just start, right? You can just go onto one of the main bug bounty platforms. We have HackerOne and BugCrowd are the most common and the biggest dominant companies on the market that allow this kind of activity. You can just go there, onboard, self-sign up. Simple as that. The second part would be, now what? Right? Now I'm in the platform, I can see those bugs, I can see the activity, but I don't know what to do. So the first thing would be start reading some report, reading some submissions, because it's a free knowledge. It's out there, you can see what happens, you can learn from those bugs, you can learn from those vulnerabilities, and you can learn what to look for and how to look for it. The third thing would be bug bounty program. The secret behind of it is that they want the hackers to find better vulnerabilities. They want the hackers to find more because it helps to the platform. It helps to their business. So they also offer training as part of those platforms. For example, we have a link below if you want to take a picture. It's a link to HackerOne's handbook of how to start web hacking. It's a little PDF. So they would help you, and they would give you the knowledge that you need in order to start. And the last but not least, just download Burp Suite, watch some videos online on how to install a proxy, and start to get hacking. So after you've been running a program, after you've been participating in multiple programs for some time, you've been asking yourself, what's the next level? How can I get more out of my actions, right? Because I'm spending my nights, I'm spending my weekends. Some people are making $1 million a year in bug bounties. So for them, it's probably a full-time job. But for most of the people, most of the participants, they're doing it during the holidays or, whenever they feel like, just because they can. So what would be the first thing to do is to choose the right program to participate in. So I would split, the surface into two parts. Two areas. We have the new companies. We have companies who recently joined those platforms. And it's like a new unresearched surface that the probability of finding bugs on the spectrum of, let's say, low-hanging fruits up to critical, it's a higher probability, right? Because it's the first time those companies put themselves out there. And you're going to be the first people to research and to find those bugs. So this is one type of company. The other type are companies who's been running those programs for some time. Let's say, I call it the honeymoon phase, right? Because it takes time to get used to, because they learn how to put all the guardrails up, they revamp the firewall, they put the rate limit, they teach developers, they teach the community, they teach the engineers how to treat this kind of activity. And the second kind of companies are the ones who already had all the people scanning it automatically and finding all the low-hanging fruits. So what are we left with? We're left with business logic vulnerabilities. Does any of you know what it means, business logic vulnerabilities? No? Okay. It means understanding the product that you're investigating. If, for example, I were to investigate some kind of money transfer system, it means understanding what would be harmful for the business. Because money in this type of programs is directly linked to the impact. And impact is not just an RCE. It's what can you get with this RCE? Because we all agree that finding some, I don't disrespect like an XSS or an SQLI in some third system that no one is using, it was left by someone, it's in this VPC that nobody has access to, and it has access to definitely nothing on the network, is not the same as getting an RCE on the main server that is processing all the credit card information, right? Because the impact to the business is much higher on the second one, so compensation is also much higher. So it's basically about understanding what would hurt the business. And the way to do it is by using those platforms. It's not enough to just scan from the outside or just run automated tools, because these companies might have the rate limit in place and they would block you, no evasion and everything. So you would need to onboard. Just like you onboarded the backup platform, you need to also onboard those kind of companies. So I would go to the financial institution and I would ask access to their sandbox environment. I would ask to participate in some kind of program that I can gain access to really testing the things they care about, because this is where the real compensation lay. So look for those vulnerabilities. I'll give you an example just so you can, get your mind at. Let's say I'm running, I said like money transfer company. I'm some sort of a bank. Let's say payment app, right? We can Venmo, right? We can send money over an app. So I can make an app money transfer request to someone. And that person can decline, can say, I don't want the money. So the money goes back to me. But what would happen if I had the possibility of declining the money 10 times instead of just once? So what happens sometimes behind the scenes, we call it race condition, is that instead of I'm wired $100, but my bank account after the refund will have $1,000. So I just made 900, just like that. This vulnerability is something that we can all agree, it has a lot of business impact. It hits the core of the business. It takes some time, it takes some learning and understanding, but it also gives a lot of value and grants you a lot of bounty, because you can show the ROI on your bug. You can easily show that I just saved you $1 million. So I'll feel more comfortable paying $10,000 for someone who just saved me $1 million, right? Another thing is the private world of bug bounties. Most of you, or most of the people who join the platforms, they try to hack only the companies that they see there. If you were to go to the company's marketplace, you would see just a handful of companies. Let's say 30% of the companies that are actually out there. Because some companies, they don't feel secure enough to, and it's kind of a maturity, and it's not always in the roadmap of everybody to become public program. So the way for you is to remember that researchers are assets on the platforms of bug bounty. you have a person to communicate with. You can communicate with the program manager, you can communicate with the bug bounty companies themselves and ask to join those private programs, because we need some people on those private as well, but we just want them to be under certain conditions. Which gives me one more thing, is specializing in specific fields. Right, we discussed about business logic, so if you learn financial institution, it's a strength. It's a strength that shows on every financial app. If you learn healthcare institutions, if you learn the gaming institutions, it's something that helps you to get into more programs, and if you have a way to emphasize this and to bring it up and show those strengths, it can open you a lot of doors on private programs. Because if I were to run a program, I would say, give me all your best payment API investigators, the researchers. Give me all of them. And you want to be in that list because it will grant you the private access. And the last thing for you is, I would say, think like the person on the other side. If you're submitting a report, imagine that you had to get this report in 1 a.m. Yeah, be considerate at the time that you're, if possible, submitting the reports. But think that there's a person who's not you who needs to read the report. So it needs to, the golden advice for the best report that will also be treated better is if your parents could read it and understand it, then it will be the easiest for the person who does the triage. Okay, so this was for mostly people who participate in bug bounty. Do we have any people here who run or want to run their own bug bounty for their own company, considering it, would like to run it? Okay, so we can skip that part, I guess. Okay, so let's say one of you were to run a bug bounty. Woo, thanks. So what are the things that, if you wanted to get the most out of your bug bounty programs, what are the things that you would do? The first thing you would come to your, at your doorstep is to which vendor to choose, but this is out of my league. Then you would try to think, what should be my roadmap, right? Going public is, I would say, is when you start a program, seems like the end of the road. Like you plan backwards, like I'm gonna go public, and then you plan backwards. A little hint, it's not. Only when you go public, the road gets longer, and the goal gets more distant. So the first thing, you would probably start private, and then you would have to choose the scope, right? Doing scoping, understanding what should be in scope, out of scope, because it also has a lot of impact on the business. Because if I were to expose production environment to those kind of testing, it's going to get a lot of load. People are going to test it, automate it, try to break it. So it's also important to put knowledge into it, maybe informing developer, informing the engineers that we are going to have this kind of, imagine QA testing effects, but it's going to be on production and things where external people are using. So communication to internally is one thing, but also communication to the outside, communication to the researchers is another important phase, right? We need to have it out there. What do we want them to test? So let's say that we were to want people to hack our application, hack our company. They would do all the basic stuff, right? They would scan for OWASP top 10, they would run their scanners, and they would put in the time. But if you want to, we see that after some time of running the program, we don't get, those low-hanging fruits. We don't get them anymore because we kind of revamped the program, revamped everything. So one of the things that we should do, we should consider doing, is giving hints. Imagine that you were also on the other side, reading the policy, reading the scope. If you are having a lot of race conditions, a lot of IDORs, a lot of parameter tampering, then why not giving the researchers the knowledge? Why not telling them, listen, we value race condition. These are the things you should look for. This is how you should look for it. Maybe posting a video of showing how to investigate complicated features. Another important part is engagement. Okay, having promotion. okay? Having a way to pull people into the program, because you're not just out there and everyone are looking at you. You're out there on the main page of the bug bounty program, and you have hundreds and thousands of competitors on the same resource called researcher. And if we want to pull them into our programs, we need to keep them engaged. Just like every other thing, like we want people to come into our shop, we need to keep them in the loop. We need to do marketing. So it's either utilizing the marketing aspects of our company in order to promote, we have a bug bounty, we have a good policy, we pay good bounties, come hack us. Or by doing announcements on the platform, or doing, special occasions, special events. We're gonna double the bounties during this kind of, during these times. So what happens after we've covered all the aspects of running the program on the outside? We have how to handle it on the inside. So important things to note are how to integrate those platforms into the life cycle of the application security team and the engineering team. Because if we were to have just this third-party app that has all the knowledge, that has all the instructions, all the good information, engineers, they don't work like that, right? As a developer, they like to stay in their ecosystem, in the IDE, in their Jira, in the Slack. If we send them to a third-party app, if we will send them a link to the bug bounty program, it's going to be a lot of difficult because we need to onboard them, we need to teach them how to use it, and they're not going to like it probably. So utilizing tools like Jira are great ways of replicating and promoting bug fixes and tracking them in the way of the regular life cycle. And Slack or Teams or whatever instant messaging application that you use at the business is a great thing to use to have instant visibility into what's happening. If you're going to have a critical bug that's being submitted, like an SQL injection or something, you want to know it instantly, and in order to react as fast as possible. Okay, so for the last part, I want to share some real bugs that I've been having in the past week or so, and some laughs and things that I've had submitted in the past that I would like to share with you. So this is an example for a submission that I've had some time. And as you can see, someone opened DevTools on the company's website, and they inserted an alert, XSS, they hit the enter, they took a screenshot, and they submitted us with XSS. I think it's, I'm not gonna surprise you by telling that this was not accepted, and we did not grant them bounty to do so. We also never granted a bounty on someone who just copied their own session token and then pasted it again on their own computer. So yeah, we do get some unique and interesting things, but I do have something to say. That's right that we're doing a little jokes on that, but on the other end, we never know the person on the other side, right? Sometimes there's like a shame factor in doing things because we're human. The nice part about bug bounties are that no one knows you on the other side. You can call yourself however you want. You can submit how many bugs that you want and just learn your way up. It's really nice. Here's an example for something we have had like a couple weeks ago. This is a very cool bug that caught personally myself by surprise. In this organization, we're running like a bunch of tools for everything that you need to imagine, like the SCA, SAS, DAST, whatever you want to just throw in the bucket, we have it. And the story on this one was that we have like some kind of a PDF export feature. And yeah, I agree that the best design for export, especially with PDF, are just taking the ID of the document and then exporting everything on the back end without accepting any user input. But You know, I think the relation for security per developer are like 1 for 100, so we can't be anywhere, everywhere, always. So that developer made a mistake, and he was accepting user input on what should be rendered. The problem is that this specific library has been using headless Chrome in order to render this PDF. And Google Chrome on this machine has not been patched in like 5 years, I think, at least. It was a very outdated version. And when the researcher examined the metadata of this PDF, he saw that it was an outdated Chrome version. So they were like, maybe we have any vulnerabilities for this Chrome version. And indeed, there were a few. So what happened was that they injected reference to an HTML file that was hosted on their server that contained an exploit for an RCE on that Google Chrome version. So when the PDF logic was rendering the user input, it went to their server, they put it inside of an iframe, downloaded this malicious content, and it simply executed on the Chrome browser, which was headless, and it granted them with an RCE. And this was very important server for us. And the last one was, it's also a nice thing that was quite surprising for us. So basically, you should not have secrets in code, right? This is something that we don't need to cover. You know, we're not everywhere always, but the tricky part is even when you fix secrets in code, it's inside of the Git history, which is something that we usually don't talk about. So what happened was that one of the developers was experimenting, I would say, with developing their own containers on work computers. And they opened a Docker Hub user, and they were practicing on pulling and pushing images. The sad part was that they accidentally got confused and they pushed the company's private container to the world public repo. And yeah, so let's take this one and mix it up with some secrets that the developer had on their local machine while testing the company's code. And we had a very long, it was night time, and we had a lot of work to do. So yeah, this was also not a, it was also a night.
You said about the programs for choosing the right program, right? Can you please give some examples and how they work?
Yeah, sure. So let's assume that you were to go to to the main page of which program. Are you talking about like the company that does the bug bounty, or like which program should you hack into?
First one.
Oh, just sign up everywhere. It's like, it's free. And just go to all the platforms, just sign up. You know, you have HackerOne, you have BugCrowd, and you can look for more.
How exactly can I just like finding the right version of Chrome, for example, for with vulnerability and so on?
So, for example, if you were to download a file from somewhere, let's take the example of the RC. So the PDF was generated with some library that was using Chrome. So the thing that happened is that you have something that's called file metadata, right? When you create a file, you can tell when it was created, who created it, who edited last person. So what happens is that this kind of library also injects what was the software or metadata in general of what was used to generate the PDF. So when the researcher was downloading the PDF, he was examining the metadata and he saw Chrome. The first thing that you do in a research, which you see any version, is to just Google the software, let's say Apache, Chrome, whatever, the version, and the word vulnerabilities, right? Because that's the first and the easiest thing to do. And then you'd have like a list of like 5, 10, 30 vulnerabilities because it was a very old version. Then the exploitation method, you can read a lot of write-ups to see how are things being exploited. They were using Meterpreter like Metasploit in order to create the handler and everything. So you can learn a lot from just reading a lot of reports. It's out there.
Thank you. And another question, is it always safe for the company? Maybe like the user can find something and use it in like their own, for own needs, for example.
So yeah, it's kind of a question. I want to believe that the people who participate in the bug bounty programs, they're looking to get paid in the conventional way, you know what I mean? Like they were looking to participate in the platform, and they're not just looking to harm, to do extortion or anything. There are set of guidelines, you know the policy, you know the bounty payments ranges, so nothing should surprise. Many times we like to give a bonus for like extra work if things looks nice and stuff like that. But yeah, it's dangerous to be on the internet. Like you're out there.
Thank you.
I guess my question is about which sector do you believe currently and in the close future will be the best one to focus and put your effort as a bug bounty hunter? On your opinion.
So I would say the sectors that make money, because not all sectors make, because we're talking about vulnerabilities that harm the business, and the business likes the money. It's not a non-profit, right? So if you were to find businesses that generate, move, handle money, and those kind of vulnerabilities can harm the business, like if you were able to reach the list of a patient list or to get a list of MRI files, it can really harm the company in numerous ways. So I would say, financial and medical sectors are the ones who would pay well, but it really depends. We also have the crypto, like the chains and different like vendors and different companies that operate in that field who pays a lot.
Okay, so also again, in your opinion, I think it doesn't go by sector, but I'm just curious about your answer. Like, which sector do you believe that gives the most creative bugs to find? Or it's just an attempt. If it's difficult, it's fine.
Well, for me, I like the financial sector. It's just a personal preference, I'd say. But my second best is the health sector.
Why is this way better than just wait for some report from users about the bugs? Why is it worth to pay such big money to someone who will find your bugs if you can just wait for users?
Oh, okay. So, yeah. So, it's a great question because many times we look and we get bugs who's actually, I didn't put some examples, but it's like a QA. It's like QA process. And they are the researchers, sometimes they happen to be the heaviest users because they actually try to use every feature that you have on the platform. And for us, it's either we encourage people to investigate the platform and to give us this kind of insight, or we risk the chance that someone that we don't want to find the bug, find it, and utilize it in a way that, because they're not compensated, that they might as well sell it, right? They can gain off their profit from it. So, yeah, it's the whole ecosystem of security, basically. So it's just one of the things that you do. You don't do just bug bounty, you also do pen test, and you also have the whole SDLC pipeline. So it's just one of the tools, and some companies use it, some companies don't.